Hey guys, welcome back. So yeah, there's been some pretty good progress made so far by Ukraine at the moment. So they've crossed the Dnipro River in several areas and have landed soldiers, even destroying a Russian BTR vehicle. This is really good because I honestly wasn't expecting Ukraine to come across from the south. It's just like the logistical issues and the problems that you'd have to deal with getting across. But any forces being landed on the other side of the Dnipro River is really solid, and I really think and it's actually really good. Hopefully they keep it up and they'll start pushing the Russians back, although I wouldn't expect anything too massive to occur down there anytime soon. There. Then of course up further north, the Ukrainians have been using excellent positioning to cut off the Russians, forcing them to retreat. This is occurring in this occurred near Velika. I apologise if I completely butchered that name. But basically, the Russians control a large bit of territory, but the Ukrainians took it back very recently, thanks to being able to cut in behind them, force them back, and yeah, like as we saw, the Russians retreated. Up near Bakhmut, there's also good territory. They're also making solid progress. They're slowly pushing in towards a, I think, settlement area called Bakiva. Again, I apologise if you're Ukrainian and I butchered that name. This is really significant because it opens up a flank in Bakhmut, which will later allow Ukraine to cut in behind and encircle the city. This is really useful for as it stops the opponents from actually, being able to get supplies and being able to hold out for too long inside the city. This is also really useful though because there is a Russian offensive just about, I think, 10-20 kilometers to the north of this, where they're pushing outwards. This basically means that if Ukraine can cut in behind that and cut it off, it'll destroy its supply lines and the assets going to the front. I think that's something really solid for Ukraine, and that's really it's a good opportunity. Also near Bakhmut, they destroyed a T-80BV, and there's been some other vehicles destroyed, such as a BTR-82. There's a Grad destroyed, and a fuel tanker, which is pretty useful. Down further south, there's been a railway which has been damaged. I'm not sure what degree it's been damaged to, but it has definitely been harmed. Then, of course, there's several other explosions across the Russian-occupied territory. But yeah, all honesty though, this is just I believe this is good. Like, there is some talk that the counteroffensive isn't going as well as planned, but to be honest, I personally believe this is what most of us expect. Right? Most people were expecting less crazy advances. Obviously, there is the points of Russian propaganda and the people who don't understand what they're discussing on this topic. However, at the end of the day, it is important to understand that it will be a slow slog. You'll have to go against heavily dug in Russians with lots of equipment and a lot of these guys are elite units too. And that's a big thing we have to understand. A lot of these guys are heavily armed, they've got the best weapons that you could possibly get. And they're sitting there with the most modern, most powerful Russian equipment at the moment. So yes, it will be a slog, and yes, it will take time. However, personally, I do believe Ukraine will take this territory back eventually. And just remember, the counteroffensive isn't over yet. And it's not any one force either. The counteroffensive isn't one unit being sent in, it's multiple units being used to whittle down the Russian forces, and this is what you call shaping operations. You slowly take out certain areas, push the Russians back in certain positions, slowly force them back, until they're at a really unfortunate position. Then you send in your whole force. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel.